Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by H Weather Forecast. And this is going to be another upload here on Major Winter Storm Uri. And it is going to continue, of course, to bring in historic snowfall totals all the way down to the Gulf Coast. And as well bring snow for millions from Texas and New Mexico all the way up to areas like Maine. So we are talking about a major storm to bring in dangerous icy conditions and snowy conditions for millions here. But before we get in the video, be sure to subscribe, of course, if you are new and if you want to get daily content like this. And as well, if you have any questions about this snowstorm, whether it will affect you or not, be sure to put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to respond to you. But in this video, we'll be looking at the timing, who can get the worst impacts, etc. throughout this forecast. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. But this is the National Weather Service, and as you can tell, we are looking at just millions and millions to be getting extremely heavy snow, as we can tell, because the whole state of Texas, the whole state of Arkansas, the whole state of Oklahoma, and the whole state of Ohio are under winter storm warnings. And let me actually go ahead and refresh this to make sure. Let's see, this is the latest update. So we have winter storm warnings here all the way from New Mexico all the way up to Vermont. So these warnings have been extended into Chicago. They have extended into much of, or actually they had now extended into all of Ohio. They have extended to almost all of Indiana, and they've extended now across portions of the Great Lakes in the upper Northeast. Advisories as well have now been issued for areas like Michigan, and as well we now have winter weather advisories now into areas near the Gulf Coast and as well Northeast. New ice storm warnings have been issued for the Northeast regions of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, because that's where we've seen potentially extremely heavy ice across those areas here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check a look at what we have here for the HRRR. So we have, of course, that snow right now starting to develop across portions of Oklahoma and Texas. And then we have, of course, the freezing rain kind of more towards the east here, as we'll be seeing kind of a lot of that precipitation slowly making its way to frozen precipitation. But later on tonight to tomorrow morning, that snow become a lot more widespread across portions of the Ozarks and Midwest. So again, some good snow across Little Rock, Texarkana, and some snow will develop into tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, across portions of Evansville, and as well as developing across Kentucky. But this main system will still be in Texas and the South Central at this point, seeing the heaviest snow across areas near Waco, Austin, San Antonio, and as well as seeing that some dangerous icy conditions more towards the east, some spotty freezing rain showers all the way from Texas up to Tennessee. So that's going to lead to some widespread dangerous conditions. Later into now the next 17 hours here, that snow will continue to progress and get a lot more severe. We're going to be seeing potentially whiteout conditions for some areas here, as the snow will be so heavy across Louisiana, eastern Texas, and much of Arkansas here, as we're going to be really watching some dangerous icy conditions. We actually may get over an inch of ice in some areas across Mississippi, which will do a ton of damage and almost basically impossible travel, not just if you're in the southeast, but an inch of ice on the ground would be impossible no matter where you are. And then, of course, that snow will continue to develop across portions of the Ohio Valley. But again, the HRRR only goes 18 hours out, and this is what they have, 18 hours out. So tomorrow, at around 8 Eastern, it's going to be an absolute mess across these areas here. Extremely heavy snow. Yeah, but let's go ahead now and check a look at what the detailed forecast for Louisiana. So we're going to be seeing tomorrow, early morning around midnight, some scattered freezing rain showers developing on and off across Shreveport, Lufkin. So we're going to be seeing some very dangerous icy conditions pre-snowstorm. So we're going to have a few hours for the hours coming to the snowstorm. As it gets a lot closer, we're going to be seeing some dangerous icy conditions across Shreveport, Houston, Lake Charles, Alexandria, just general regions where we're seeing that main accumulated ice. But as the snow moves in, it's going to be a lot worse. So due to the ice sticking hours before the snow, this snow, when it actually comes down, it'll accumulate almost automatically because the surfaces will be frozen. Shreveport, Alexandria, Monroe, all the way down to Houston, we're going to be seeing extremely heavy snow after this ice does move out of the way here. But again, in the next 18 hours, we're talking dangerous, almost impossible travel across Jackson, across Greenwood, across Macomb, Baton Rouge, even Lake Charles, and as well even more impossible travel across areas like Monroe and even Pine Bluff in Arkansas. Looking at Mississippi, same thing. You kind of see the freezing rain developing before the storm, and then the main system does move it, and that's we're seeing the big time ice. So not only we're seeing big time ice threats for the actual main system, but before the main system, we're seeing some freezing rain developing on and off here, and that's going to cause some dangerous conditions even before the main system. So really watching out there. So here's now a look at the NAM 3 kilometer here, of course, very similar to the NAM, to the HRR, really heavy snow, of course, across Texas and as well, not just Texas, but moving to the Ozarks overnight. But of course, the ice is still a big threat, even though it's not really the actual main system. It becomes the main system by later in the next around 15 hours. So again, 15 to the next 20 hours is going to be the biggest threat across portions of the South Central. Really extremely dangerous freezing rain across Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Texas. And then just to the northwest, we'll be seeing that heavy snow. So this is a perfect scenario for extremely dangerous conditions, as the ice will come first and then the heavy snow comes right after. So we'll be seeing extra accumulation because the ice will be there before the snow. And it's going to get even worse here. Potentially whiteout conditions for some areas like Memphis, Little Rock, areas as well to upper Louisiana. And that's what we'll be seeing as well. So the sun's going to be so heavy, the visibility will be very low. But to the south, we'll be seeing not necessarily whiteout conditions, but definitely dangerous driving conditions across areas in Mississippi, Louisiana, and as well moving into Tennessee. And that'll continue between the next 24 hours there into the next 30 hours, and it should move out after the next 30 hours. But not the case there for the Midwest and Ohio Valley. It's going to get just getting started in the next 30 hours. But right getting to tomorrow morning, we'll have that first wave of snow across portions of the Midwest, some snow across Arkansas as well, really some intense snowfall across Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois, but that's obviously not the main system. The main system really moves in now to the next 30 hours, and that's when things are just getting started. Extremely heavy snow across portions of Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, Illinois. Of course, really watching for potential whiteout conditions in some areas, and as well, really dangerous icy conditions across Kentucky and West Virginia. And that's exactly why we have a few ice storm warnings in effect for those areas. Next 40 hours, this system will move quite quickly, but still bringing in widespread snow across areas like Detroit, Cleveland, portions of the Great Lakes, but that main system is going to bring in extremely heavy snow for the upper northeast. So again, it's going to be a nor'easter. However, it's going to be more of an upper nor'easter because that low pressure is going to be really too far close to the coast here. So it's going to be almost impossible to have frozen precipitation developing in those areas. But the HRR in the next 18 hours does have a good amount of snowfall developing across the South Central. So really the next 18 hours is going to be really focused on the South Central. But after the next 18 hours, going to be really watching out for the Tennessee Valley, Ohio Valley, and the Midwest. That's kind of after. This is 18 plus hours out, and this is kind of, I guess, before 18 hours out. So we're looking at maybe some scattered areas across Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma where we could actually get maybe potentially over half a foot. And this is, of course, in the next 18 hours. Could get a few inches near Houston, a good amount of snow across Louisiana, and even all the way up to areas like the Ohio Valley, we can see some good amount of snow in the next 18 hours. Like Cincinnati, a good inch there. Near Lexington, a good 3 inches. Like I said, St. Louis off the Mississippi River could see maybe 2 to 3 inches in the next 18 hours. So obviously it's going to be mainly a big threat for the South Central and Texas, mainly for the next 18 hours. But we're still talking some widespread snow. All of this from Erie just in the next 18 hours, and that's not even when the worst of that snow will come. This is the main general system. Obviously, this is way more than 18 hours out. So this is what the whole system's supposed to do, according to the European, all the way from Texas to Maine, even even New Mexico. But there's one little area really watching out for over half a foot of snow there, all the way from Arkansas to Maine. So looking at some very good snow for across Memphis there, northern Mississippi, portions of eastern Arkansas, and then to make its way all the way up the Ohio Valley there, Columbus, Cleveland, Indianapolis, much of Kentucky, much of Ohio, much of New York, and much of the New England region there in those higher elevations. So if you're in a purple color, you're looking at over 6 inches of snowfall there. But obviously we'll have areas like Chicago, Detroit, our Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Monroe, and as well even areas like Nashville that are just kind of outside of that purple color or very close to getting to a purple color, but they're getting maybe anywhere from 3 to 5.5 inches of snowfall in that general region. But really looking at a very widespread area, mainly all the way from Maine to Arkansas, we can get a little alley of over half a foot of snow there. That's kind of, I guess, the bullseye. A better look now, very detailed look, I guess, for Louisiana, according to the European. Looking at some decent snowfall, of course, in this general little alley right here. So it's going to be including northwestern Louisiana, much of eastern Texas, and as well as southern Arkansas. Looking at maybe 5 to 6 inches there across areas like Monroe, a few inches there as well, maybe a couple inches there near Alexandria. Maybe even getting it to 4 inches near Houston. So the Europeans really pushing that snow very close to the coast. Galveston an inch, maybe Lake Charles may get around a trace or so. But look at areas like Tyler and Lufkin may get over 5 inches of snowfall there. And as well into southern Arkansas, you can start to get areas where we can start getting that first little alley of half a foot or more. And that'll obviously stretch all the way up to Maine, where we can get over 6 inches of snow. Now looking at the general NAM3 kilometer, again, really showing that alley. However, the alley is going to start all the way in Texas and then make its way all the way up to Maine. So NAM3 kilometer is really seeming quite reasonable, but showing some widespread areas of over 6 feet. I didn't mean to say 6 feet. 6 inches. Wow, 6 feet. That would be crazy, but I meant to say over 6 inches there. So Detroit, Indianapolis, southern Illinois. So we're talking some areas that weren't really shown to get over half a foot or 6 inches by the European, but the NAM does show like Indianapolis can get over maybe 7 inches there, according to the NAM3 kilometer. But the NAM3 kilometer is really being very it's very similar to what the European wants to say location-wise and I guess bullseye-wise. It's one little area here where we can get over 6+ inches of snowfall there. That's including Little Rock, Memphis, as well as Indianapolis, Louisville, including much of western and northern Ohio there, kind of keeping Columbus out of the way there. And of course, much of the Great Lakes like Lake Erie and Lake Huron, those we're really going to get possibly, those areas actually may get over a foot, like areas like Jamestown, Buffalo, Erie. You guys may get maybe a little bit scattered areas over 12 inches of snowfall. Another look here, very detailed look at the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. Looking at, of course, some really good snowfall totals according to the NAM3 kilometer, keeping that snow kind of limited to western parts of the state, like western Ohio, western Tennessee, western Kentucky, and keeping it limited to eastern portion of this part, of course, eastern Arkansas, eastern Illinois, and eastern Missouri. But looking at maybe 9 inches there near Memphis, very good snow across Jonesboro, some very nice snowfall totals, of course. And these higher totals are happening in areas that really don't usually get snowfall totals like this and snowstorms, like Poplar Bluff, like Memphis, like Little Rock, like Louisville, like Evansville. Really uncommon. Like Cincinnati may get 9 inches of snow. Evansville may get 8 inches there. Indianapolis may get 8 inches as well. 9 inches in far southern Illinois. Springfield can get half foot or so. Nashville, on the other hand, just missing out. Same thing for Lexington. Same thing for Columbus. You can get a good few inches, but obviously missing out on the worst of it. And here's a kind of more northern look here. Even Chicago can get 5 inches or so. Detroit may get 7 to 8 inches according to the according to the NAM3 kilometer, but some scattered areas near 11, even more across areas. Some scattered areas here you can kind of see near Niagara Falls. This is, of course, a little alley area where you can get over half foot of snowfall. So 7 to 8 inches there across Indianapolis, 9 to 7 across Cleveland, 9 to 7 across Toledo. So really looking at a very impressive snowstorm. Of course, the ice is a big threat. You can kind of see first developing across areas like the Tennessee, across the Texas region. Could actually get maybe around a tenth of an inch to possibly even half inch of ice, but it will progressively get worse. You can kind of see it right here in Mississippi, in Louisiana. Wait, this is the area where we may actually get more than an inch of ice. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye, guys.